Students, this is Dr. Venkatachalapathi, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So, I would like to discuss about destructive testing and what are the various tests in that tensile test, how we will perform, what are the various parameters, and how do you test by using welding metals. So, this we will discuss in detail in this session. As I discussed earlier, the term destructive testing can be defined as it is carried out in the materials, welded components and welded pieces in order to find the properties and its behavior by applying the test specimen. If we take the test specimen by applying repeated by loads by destroying it, okay. So that is what about destructive testing. So in the earlier class I discussed about various destructive tests. Now today I am going to tell this tensile test. So every student, especially a mechanical engineering student or civil engineering student, they should be able to understand clearly this tensile test. Even lot of research is going on this tensile test. So in olden days only it is a simple tensile test operator can be used. So only they will perform some tensile test specimen they can prepare. Okay, they should elongate on the both sides. So this is say P1 and this is a P2, which will elongate at certain period load of time. It may be broken. So at that breaking point, we need to identify what is the hardness, what is the tensile strength, what is the tensile strength may be obtained. So like different cases, first case, second case, third case, then you can average it. In that way you can able to test the parameters. So in general, in a destructive test, mechanical properties can be almost all improved, such as tensile strength and toughness, hardness, and what you call ductility, brittleness. All these tests can be performed comes under the destructive test only. So either it may be a metal casting process or welding process or forging process, whatever the process. After performing that, when you wanted to conduct this destructive, means when you apply pressure it is going to be destructed, okay, or when you apply, so it will be elongated, destructed, and maybe cracked. So different type, that is what openly it has been destructed by applying the various testing parameters. Even in such case, tensile test also one among the important testing mission after performing the welding, or during the welding also you have to test the how much tensile strength can be obtained in this component, and how much compressive strength may be obtained in this component, and what are the impact strength. So there is a impact strength or notch specimen can be prepared and will performing in this case. All destructive tests will be discussed in one by one. Okay, now let us see the what is meant by a tensile test. So in general, tensile tests are used to compare the weldment to the base metal. Are you able to understand? Weldment to the base metal, mechanical values and specification requirements. Actually the customer we need this 150 BHN, Brinell hardness number, or like that they is given some specification. So in such cases, how do you able to maintain the specification as per the customer requirement? Obviously traditionally only some semi-automatic and some manual type of tensile test will be there. If you take a component, even if you take this pen also, if you apply both pressure on left side and right side, at some point of time it may break also pen. Yes or no? So similarly, the specimen like ferrous or non-ferrous or ceramic or plastic material, obviously they can perform this type of destructive test only. Especially the destructive test can be explained based on the welding parameters. Why? Because if you're performing the weld heating and joining with the filler metal, automatically due to chemical reaction takes place, then you can able to identify the strength is before conducting the welding, how much strength, after conducting or joining the process, fabrication process, how much strength can be achieved, either it is improved or decreased. So that you can identify it based on this type of tensile test. Okay. So in this case, the weldment is sliced into coupons. So weldment means like that. I hope all the students do you know there is a workpiece, two pieces. Okay, either similar or dissimilar metals where it can be performed. Okay. Who can perform the welding. So in such case, you should take the weldment. This is called the weldment or weld bead type. You can take some sample, and that sample you can keep it in the tensile testing machine. It will pulled off in opposite direction until the coupon fails. That test specimen fails. Yes or no? So like this, if you keep vertically, obviously this is some ISO standard tensile strength specimen. Okay, these you can fix. One is in bottom side and other one is top side, and you can pull both directions oppositely. At particular time point of time, the specimen may break. So the where that before breaking point, that point is the maximum strength. At which time only maximum strength can be obtained with the computer. This set of tensile test machine can be put on the computer controlled machine, so that you can see this is the tensile strength and this is the data what are the moving up. Obviously stress strain diagram also will be seen. It will go and enlarge it and suddenly come down. Okay, so stress strain diagram for mild stress strain diagram for and cast iron also will be important, and depending upon material the total dimensions or what are the values you can obtain by performing this test, and the graphical representation also whatever you can able to obtain the test in this tensile strength or hardness, ductility, brittleness can be easily determined by with the computer graphical representation. Okay, so this is what about the tensile test. Okay, and another interesting thing is tensile test machine with extensometer to perform the tensile extensometers. That is called micrometer extensometer. You can fix in that tensile test machine, so that you can need to understand what is the thickness of the that component, how much you can obtain the strength. So that and all you can able to understand clearly in the industry concern point of view. Okay, so look at the some constructional features of the test machine, tensile strength test machine. So there will be a cross head, and these are the gripper. Gripper is main purpose is to keep the test specimen in the gripper only. Okay, and extensometer will be kept at that test specimen, nearby test specimen only, so that you can able to determine the dimension in the tolerance like related in the graphically you need to show. And another thing, load cell also they can given at the bottom. So the main function of the load cell also in order to test in the component, in the materials, either ferrous or non-ferrous metals. You can able to determine the strength and mechanical properties of that component. Okay, so this tensile test mission with extensometer to perform the tensile testing. So there are a huge number of testing machines are available, tensile strength. Even some students wanted to do their MTech project, or some research scholars also wanted to perform the better mechanical properties. They need to have such quality oriented missions. So once these type of missions, if you work on, definitely lot of information and lot of what you call structural thing can be changed. Okay, so this is the tensile test mission with an extensometer to perform the tensile testing. Okay, so this is what about the tensile test with the help of the neat sketch. And another interesting one, in any tensile stress, in order to determine the maximum for the following important 3 points. The first and foremost point is the ultimate strength. Ultimate strength of the weld. Second one is yield strength of the weld. Third one is elongation. So these are the 3 important type of properties. Okay, ultimate strength of the weld. In that point at which the weld fails under tension. So that is what either it is a pen or pencil, if you pull it, automatically certain period of time it may be broken, it may be fails under the tension. And second interesting one is the yield strength. Yield strength of the weld. So in general, yield strength means this is the point at which the weld yields or stretches under tension and will not return to the original dimension. This is what about when you apply the tensile force or tensile strength, that what you called this cannot be returned for the original dimensions. Okay, so another interesting definition is elongation. So in general mechanics of solids, you will keep on studying the elongation. Elongation means this is an instrument stretch that occurs during the tensile test process. Okay, so elongation means this is the amount of stress occurs during the tensile test only, and this can be measured by placing the gauge marks on the sample or coupon before testing, the comparing the after break distance with the original gauge marks. So this is what one interesting test, that is called ultimate tensile strength, yield strength, and finally the elongation. 3 parameters are one of the most important parameters where you can apply these tests effectively. Okay, so next let us see notch test, that is toughness. I hope all the mechanical engineering and civil engineering students, they can able to understand better in that laboratory itself. Notch toughness mission, notch toughness test. Okay, so in this diagram this is self-explanatory only, and in this case you can see there is an anvil and there is a specimen. This will be a hammer, and what you call starting position, it will come this side. Okay, and ending will be in opposite side, so that the scale to be also maintained in order to determine the toughness of the given component or the given plate. Okay, so let us see what are the basic steps involved in notch toughness test. So in the notch toughness test means these are used to define the ability of the weld and to resist cracking or crack propagation at low level temperature or load under loads. Okay, so this is what about the notch toughness test. And the second point is under test are used to weld that are intended to use the low temperature environments with pulsating or vibrating loading. Okay, and this is another important point. And third most important point is the weldment is cut into test specimens. Weldment is cut to test specimen, which are then notched, cool at a temperature, low temperature, cool at a low temperature, and put under the pressure until they fail. So this is interesting. The weldment is cut in the test specimen, which are then notched. Notching can be done, then cool at a room temperature and put under pressure until they fail. Okay, so this is what about the notch toughness test. So in this test, at least 10 copies are cut from the test weld, and that may be obtained. Okay, the test bars are cooled to test the temperature and other placed to the test machine and broken. So fifth diagram, fifth, what it will explain means that results are measured and in the energy required to make the coupon break and are expressed in a food forms. So this is what about the notch toughness test. And as per the specification also, very requirement. Okay, you should maintain the proper specification requirement so that any type of mechanical test can be easily done. Okay, so these are the another interesting and important type of cross section test. So what is meant by a cross section test? So look at, this is also a specimen how the cross section test in the welding process. Okay, so in this I'm not able to give the class. The diagram is somewhat white and black diagram, and so that they can see the inside. So inside that work specimen, how it will appear, whatever the microstructure and what are the cracks and what are the fits can be obtained, and how do you eliminate these defects also properly in time. Okay, so that is why cross section test also comes under the what you called this destructive test methods. Okay, look at the cross section test are used to define the internal quality and structure of the weld. Yes or no? So cross sectional test means in this cross section test are used to determine internal quality and structure of the weld. The weldment is cut into cross sections which are then polished, etched and examined visually or with the specialized testing equipment. Then only they can identify the whatever the component made it fabricated clearly. Then how do you test that red-hearted and different type of applications, and how we will able to have the cross sections. Okay, so this is what about the cross section test. Okay, and let us see the macro test also with the micro and macro, both are to be considered in the even welding destructive test also. In macro test, what they will do, so published sections of the weld are prepared. Okay, and macro test, so this also we are ready to face the challenges and viewing the naked eye or magnifying glass, low magnification, and which here macro test means already some finishing is there. Furthermore, polished sections of the weld are prepared for viewing, and the naked eye or magnifying the glass, low magnification, and increased definition of the weld and weld layers. Okay, and passes can be often obtained by etching the sample with a suitable etchant. So this is what especially in the metallurgy lab, by checking the all these parameters, only you can able to give suitable etchants. So otherwise it is very difficult. Okay, the course of weld, and weldment is cut into cross section, which are then being polished and etched and examined visually with this specialized testing equipment. If there is a problem in testing machine, almost of ultimately you are in the same type. Okay, so that is why I can need to understand the cross section A test, and what you call cross section test means micro macro test, etc. Okay, so this is what about the how we can able to perform cross section test in this welding of non-destructive test. Okay, I hope the student are clear to understand the various important type of tensile test, and in that majorly ultimate strength of the weld, and what about the yield strength of the weld, and finally elongation also can perform during this tensile test. This is what in this mission, if you both side to lift oppositely, pull up the equation, definitely you need to have tensile strength. And if you compress it here, this test machine only can able to perform three different operations. One is the testing, and what you called this mission multi mass production they can able to perform, so that the people can understand clearly with the mission with an extensometer to perform the tensile selections. Okay, so and similarly in this case the extensometer or micrometer, some quality, the microns means 10-15 microns will come, and based on that only you will start the even that nowadays all the colleges they will recruit the they will write the proposal through AICT and some RPS thing, and in that that operators also can able to explain how will perform the tensile strength. This comes under the destructive test. So because why it is not called the non-destructive testing machine? In the destructive machine, what will happen? It can able to send the all the information, okay, all the mechanical properties, what are the tests available, how do you perform these tests in laboratory, the students are go through the labs or not. Okay, so all these things should be considered, and in order to determine the various importance of the tensile test, and parallelly uh, this notch toughness test. So this is called what you call the uh, notch toughness impact uh, test. So in this impact notch toughness test is mainly look at, so it is a self-explanatory. There will be uh, one rod and can be fixed at the both, and one is the starting position, second is end of the swing, and there will be a scale here and a specimen you can keep. So here some safety precautions also can be made in order to, so the process is you can keep the workpiece here. So you can assume that this is the workpiece. When you wanted to cut from the top level, it can able to leave and it will cut. Obviously, there is a two parts can be eliminated. One is the impact strength can be easily determined by notch toughness test. Okay, there is a hammer. We'll call it as a hammer. Starting position, specimen, and annual and end of the swing, annual and end of the swing. First they can able to move up and down, move up and down. So at the fast rate you can able to identify and conduct it. And that is why you can keep this how much time you wanted to ideal for this especially some metals which cannot be done with the what you call the manual process. Obviously it will go for the automation like north toughness test and what you called other important test, cross section test, etc. So in this notch toughness test also, where these are used to define the ability of the welds. So these are the welds which are intended to use for the low temperature environments and high temperature. So low temperature environments with pulsating or vibrating the loading. Okay, suddenly they're not any what you called any vibrating loading on that. Okay, so another interesting is weld defects. Okay, in the weld defects, some of the weldment is cut into test specimens. So whatever the you wanted to perform, you will collect the 10 to pieces, and the test coupons which are then often notched and cooled at room temperature and put your pressure until they fail. Okay, so always you can keep on pressure during some old uh, so here the notch toughness test most probably useful for the separation or removing the component. The one specimen can be kept in between that level. You maintain the distance and you can able to determine easily the weldment cut can be easily done and with the different type of test coupons. Okay, so this is what about the notch toughness test. So similarly, another few more points. So that is the test coupons are cut from the test well. So this is very interesting. So always if you have the coupon, you don't have right to perform all these tests like Sharpie test, IARE test, and implementation of the uh, test also. So the test bars are cooled to the test specimen temperature and then placed into the test machine and broken. Okay, so one more time is what you call the comparisons then made with the original material, the specification requirements, specification. So, for example, the toughness can be vary from the metal to metal. So, the toughness is less for the plastic and some more greater than the plastic and some table. Okay, so whatever the mechanical properties can be obtained easily in this destructive test. Okay. So finally, another interesting is cross section test. In the cross section test, look at the three-dimensional figure of cross section test. So the four test specimen, you can see the first side only, at end only it is coming, and the second somewhat it will bulge and it will expanding, and in this third section you can clearly see that there is a workpiece shift which can move differently. So that is why this is also to be considered. And this is somewhat okay. Long section compressive test means you can apply pressure oppositely, not if you tensile means it can upload, it can elongate here, and where compression means you can apply pressure on both sides, which in opposite side. Okay, and this cross section test is related to internal quality and structure of the weld, and the weldment is cut across the sections. Then again, it is polished, etched, and examined visually, and with specialized testing machine. Okay, so next thing is what you call cross section can be include the following ways. There is macro test and micro test. Okay, so macro means polished sections of the weld are prepared. Okay, and verifying the naked eye in the magnifying glass so that with the low magnification, increased definition of the weld layers or passes often often can be obtained by etching the sample with a suitable etchant nitrous. Okay, uh, so that nitol is the nitrogen plus alcohol is the one of the important etchant in this gray cast iron, etc. Okay, so this is what about the importance of the destructive test in welding or fabrication process, or even this destructive test can be allowable for the other manufacturing process also, like casting process and metal working process, etc. Okay, so thank you for this uh, topic of destructive test. In the next session, I'm going to discuss about the non-destructive testing, NDT. Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.